Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Good morning, Namaskar, hello. Dear students, we are talking about paper 4 language skills in the course English language teaching. Just before this, we had a look at identification of the basic skills of language, where we discussed that there are 4 language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. We looked at how in the natural learning order, some skills come first and some skills come later. We also looked at 2 kinds of categorizations of these skills. We looked at how these skills are divided into oral skills and written skills. And we looked at the second kind of categorization where they are looked at receptive skills and productive skills. We also had a look at the process of communication. We are now moving on to the second unit of this paper 4. I would be talking about receptive language skills. Just to revise what receptive language skills are, these are the skills which are related to speaking and listening and reading. Skills that are used at the receiver's end in the process of communication. The receiver has to decode the message that he or she has received, which was sent by the sender. The receiver tries to understand that message and make sense of the message, and if necessary, act accordingly. The skills, the processes that come into play are more mental than physical. I take you to the process of communication, the same diagram which we had looked at in the previous unit. This is the diagram of process of communication, and as we just discussed, the receiver receives and decodes the message that is sent by the sender, and when we are talking about receptive skills, it is on this side that we are looking at the receiver, who is doing more mental processes than ideating and encoding the message. The more important aspect that the receiver is involved with is decoding and sending a feedback. As we discussed in the previous unit, there are 2 receptive skills: listening and reading. Listening is categorized as an oral or oral skill, and reading is categorized as a literacy or written skills. As we discussed in the previous unit, there are several languages which exist only in the oral and oral form. That is, the users of the language can understand when the language is spoken or can respond by speaking in that language. But these languages do not exist in the written form. That is, there are no signs which are associated with these languages. So the writing systems do not exist for these languages. And therefore, it is quite possible that there are several languages of the world who do not know how to read or write, and therefore reading skill is associated with literacy. Even in our country, closer home, you would have several people around you. You might meet several people around you who are able to speak the regional language, who are able to speak your native language, but they do not know how to read and write in that language. And therefore, the language which has both the components for you, oral and literacy, may not have both the components for them, and they may know only the oral or the oral component of that particular language. Now we will be looking at improving the receptive skills. So we will be first of all talking about the cognitive processes. since we discussed that the receptive skills primarily function in our mental processes, we have to make sense of the message that has been received by us. The receiver has to do a lot of cognitive processing of the messages that has been sent across to him and try to make sense of whatever messages that have been sent by decoding and by interpreting. So let us know what cognitive processes can help us improve our receptive skills. The first cognitive process is bottom-up process. There are three processes involved. The second is called top-down process, and the third is called interactive model practice. I will take up each of these step by step in detail so that you understand how all these three cognitive processes function, and as a receiver of the message, what we can do to improve our receptive skills. So first of all, let me take up the bottom-up model for you. As we all know, the languages are broken up into sounds, arrangements of those sounds on one level, meaning on the other level, and if we talk about literacy skills, signs and symbols and their arrangements. So a bottom-up model is primarily text-based. Text we can understand in several terms. Right now I am speaking. Whatever I am speaking is the text for you people to listen to and understand. When I write something, that written material is also a text which you read and understand. So we understand text as anything that is the unit on which we have to make some kind of understanding. So when we look at this text, it starts from sounds, letters, phonemes, morphemes, and words, and then we move to make meaning of these. So these are two systems which we are correlating together in bottom-up model. So as I am speaking, all of you who understand English are able to understand the sounds that I am uttering. You are able to understand the combination of the sounds that I am uttering. So when I say utter, you are able to understand that utter is an English word, and utter means to speak something. So the sounds and the letters, it does not take much time for our mind to recognize that a particular language is spoken. This language has certain words, certain sounds. These sounds together form certain words together form certain sentences together form a discourse, and we are able to make sense of everything by listening to particular sounds and their arrangements. And these sounds together refer to some meaning that is also there in our minds. When we are listening to these sounds, or when we are listening to these symbols which are there on the paper, our focus is on words, vocabulary, grammar, arrangement of sounds, and their organization. So on one level, when we are talking about a spoken text, we are talking about various sounds, how those sounds are combined into words, how those words are combined into sentences that are spoken, and we have to make sense of the entire sentence by understanding the sounds that are spoken. When we are talking about a written text, on the other hand, we are talking about all the symbols that are written on the pages, which constitute the morphemes, which constitute the written system, the orthography, and then how the grammatical arrangements, how these letters are arranged into sentences, into paragraphs, into essays, or into stories, and try to make sense of these smaller units to the bigger units. So any reader or any listener depends upon the variables that exist within a text. Sometimes it so happens, I think that will help you understand this better. So you are watching a match and somebody says the match is live. Instead of saying live, the person says live. You are looking at the sounds, you are listening to the sounds and trying to make sense of what is being said. Did you say live or did you say live? Because both of these words constitute a difference in the meaning. So you are working from the sounds to the meaning. So bottommost in any hierarchy is the sound, then comes words, then come sentences, then come discourse. So you are working from the basic level upwards towards the discourse and making meaning of the discourse by functioning from the sounds up to the discourse. That is the bottom-up model. So whenever we as listeners listen to any spoken text, or as readers, we read any written text, we look at the smallest element that constitutes and we work our ways to the highest level of that text. On the other hand, okay, so this kind of summarizes what I have just said, moves from identifying and understanding the smallest to the larger unit. We move from sounds to words, to phrases, to clauses, to sentences, to paragraphs and to discourse. We function at the lexical level, that is at the level of words. We function at the grammatical level, and then we try to make sense at the semantic level. What are all these arrangements? What are all these combinations, organizations doing for us? What are they talking about? What are they communicating and conveying to us? Interpreting, understanding are very important. On the other hand, we have the top-down model, the reverse of bottom-up model. Now you are sitting here. You are trying to listen to me and you are also trying to make sense of what I am saying. But then you are also functioning in a top-down model. Not everybody would be able to listen to whatever I am saying today. Only a few limited number of people are able to listen to whatever is being talked here today. A top-down model is more reader-based. Bottom-up model was more production-based. What is said, making sense of that. But a top-down model is more limited or more concerned with the receiver. What is it that the receiver has in mind? What knowledge does the receiver come to when the person interacts with the text? The focus is on what is the background understanding of the reader per se when the reader associates with the text, the background knowledge, the predictions, the assumptions, the basic understanding, rather than what is there on the text. The focus is on sampling the information of the text and contrasting it with the reader's knowledge and making sense. So if I try to put things in perspective, whenever any reader, whenever any listener interacts with the text, there are two things that a reader comes to the text with. One is knowledge of the language. You may also call it knowledge of the language system. That is a background knowledge which we also call schema. So the language that you know consists of two very important segments, the sounds and the script. If you know the sounds of the language, if you know the organization of the language, if you know the phonetics, if you know the phonology, you will be able to make sense of whatever is being said. If you know the written system, if you know the letters, if you know the words, if you know the grammatical rules, you will be able to make sense of that language. Plus, you also have to know the signposts. Signposts are linking words, connectors. For example, therefore, let us assume firstly, next, to summarize, these are all signpost words which give us a hint in which direction are we moving. So if I say therefore, you understand that I have said something before, therefore I am going to say something later. There is a cause and effect relationship. But if I say firstly, next, then you understand that I am talking in a sequential relationship. So we have a knowledge of the language system. अगर मैं अभी आपसे दूसरी लैंग्वेज में बात करने लगूं और आपको ये भाषा नहीं आती हो तो आपको समझने में तकलीफ पड़ेगी. So what I just said, I said deliberately in Hindi. I changed my language to make you understand that knowledge of language is essential to understand any text. If you do not know the language in which I am speaking, how much ever intelligent you may be, you may not be able to make any sense out of what is being said. If I start speaking today in Marwadi, maybe not many people of you would understand. Or if I start speaking in Malay, not many people may understand because you don't know the language, however intelligent you may be. But till you have knowledge of the language system in which the interaction is being made, in which the text is encoded, you may not understand the language. So at the topmost level, you have to have that schema in mind of the language that is being used to encode the messages, send it across. The second thing that you need to know is knowledge of the world. That is something again in our brains. As we mature, we gain a lot of experience with us, and another schema gets fit into our world, into our mind, which is related to the world. For example, right now when I am addressing to you, I am wearing formal clothes. Okay? I am dressed appropriately. I am prepared to speak to you. I am using the language following certain conventions. I am looking at you and speaking in a very formal manner. How did I know what to speak to you, how to speak to you? These are conventions of the world. This is the schema of the knowledge of the world. I have learnt it by experience. I am not playing with a ball right now. I am not sipping tea while addressing you. I am not dressed in t-shirts and jeans. I am not wearing my night dress. I am not lying on the bed. These are all conventions which come from the knowledge of the world, which are all fitted in our brain. When I am talking to you about English language teaching, I assume that you know certain things about English language, certain things about teaching, and all this prior knowledge, which is the building blocks of the knowledge that is there in our brain, helps us make sense of whatever is being said right now. Since you people are listening to me, I am sure you people have done your BA or BCom or some undergraduate degree. So you would have come with some level of knowledge to attend this course. This entire schema which is fit into our brains, whether it is the knowledge of language systems or whether it is the knowledge of the world, helps us understand the message that is being sent across. Now, your role as the receiver is very important, because while listening to me and while reading whatever points I have prepared, you are trying to make sense of whatever is being said. So your mental processes, your background knowledge, your understanding plays a much more important role than what I say and what I do. The meaning making has to be done entirely on your part, right? So you are primarily engaged in top-down processing by using the background knowledge of various kinds that you have. Now, when we look at top-down processing, we are focusing primarily on the background knowledge that you have, which helps you to make sense of whatever I am saying. But when I go back to the bottom-up model, you are trying to make sense by using the understanding of the sounds and the scripts. These are two divergent aspects of the language. One is the background knowledge that you are fitted with right now, and the other is what I am saying. You cannot function with only one of these. So to say, if you only function using bottom-up modeling, you will not be able to understand what I am saying. If you function only with top-down modeling, you won't understand what I am saying. Both of these has to go together. While listening, you are not only using your background knowledge, but you are also listening, paying attention to the sounds that I am uttering, to the words that I am speaking, to my pronunciation, to my intonation. And therefore, in isolation, these two models are very restrictive and they do not completely make you understand how a receiver can improve the receptive skills. What is needed is to form a bridge between the two. So an interactive model focuses on both. What are the both? What is written on the page plus what is in the reader's mind, or what the speaker is saying and what is there in your mind. So what I am producing plus whatever is there in your mind, interactive model combines them together to help you make sense of the entire message. So an interactive model uses both top-down and bottom-up skills to help you understand what a particular text is all about, to make sense, interpret and understand a particular text. Therefore, an interactive model seems to be a much better way of trying to understand and make sense of the cognitive processes that are going on in your minds. You are listening to the sounds as well as you are relying upon the prior knowledge that you have to make sense of what I am speaking. I am right now the sender of the message. I have certain ideas which I am encoding and transmitting to you. You are the receivers. You are listening to me and you are also reading whatever is there in the background, and you are trying to make sense of the sounds as well as of the text and trying to make sense by combining your background knowledge with the sounds that I am uttering and the sense that you make of them. So a very proficient receiver who is employing the receptive skills makes a combination of both. You must have come across some readers who read word by word. So you might have come across, I have. So they may read something like RECEPTIVE, receptive. Receptive, it means this. So they are going letter by letter, sound by sound, and then they move to the word level and then they try to make sense of the entire word. There are certain readers who simply look at the word receptive, so they can make sense of the entire word in one go. because they have a better schema in their mind, proficiency of the language in their mind, and things become easier for them because they are able to interact between the sounds and the written word and the meaning. Now there are sub-skills of receiving. There are 4 major sub-skills. These are called skimming, scanning, predicting, and inferencing. Any receiver has to function using these 4 major sub-skills. So you imagine that you have a written text in front of you. When you look at that text, as a receiver, you have to make sense of that text. If you do it in 4 stages, if you divide it into 4 parts, you will be able to completely comprehend the entire text. One very important thing that you have to look at is identifying the main ideas and the sub-ideas. What is the text talking about? What is the main theme? What is the main message? That is the first thing that you would be looking at. What are the sub-ideas that support this main idea? What are the examples that have been given? What are the justifications that have been given? Whatever is said, how is it said, and has it been said completely and appropriately? So when you look at the text very quickly, you glance through the entire text, we call that skimming. Reading to make sense of the gist of the message, the main idea of the message, is one of the very important receptive skill called skimming. Any reader, any listener tries to first focus on getting the main idea of whatever is being said. This main idea is reinforced by scanning. You scan for information. Try to identify data, statistical data, names, place, dates, figures, which substantiate the main idea. So suppose I say that these days pollution is rising. Okay, that is my main idea. But then how do I justify that pollution is rising? I would have given some data. In 2019, the pollution was at this level. In 2022, the pollution is at this level. So the pollution is rising. I prove that pollution is rising. I would be giving some information, some name, some place, some data, some figures. To identify those bits and pieces, those chunks of information, we call that skill scanning. You look for specific information. Then the third important sub-skill of receiving, a receptive sub-skill, is called predicting. Now, I was just talking to you, I gave you the example of pollution is rising. I just told that in 2019, this much was the pollution, for example. In 22, this was the pollution. You may say that now she is going to tell us what is going to happen in 2023. You may predict that this is what she is going to say. You may also predict that I may tell you to reduce pollution at your levels. I may also tell you what causes this pollution. I may also tell you why the pollution has risen. So skimming and scanning help you to think and to predict on basis of whatever you have read or whatever you have heard. You will be able to predict what more can be said, what is likely to be said, and how it will be said. So if I am giving you facts and figures, you will be prepared to see some more facts and figures to substantiate whatever I am likely to say further ahead. So on basis of what preceded, what will succeed, what comes next, is the next sub-skill of the receptive skill. The fourth and the final receptive skill, which is, though the last, but the most important. Whenever we are listening to make sense of whatever is said. We are reading to make sense, to take home some information, to take home some message. But not everything is said by everybody. I am not saying everything that I want to say. I am saying certain things, but I am not saying certain things. I am assuming that you know certain things. I am implying certain things. So the final skill, but the most important skill of the receptive lot is the inferencing skill. To understand what are the assumptions, what are the implications, what is not said, but what is hinted at. The last skill is the most vital of the receptive process and is the most important skill, but it takes time to develop the inferencing skill. The basic skill, the easiest skill, the first skill that any receiver learns is skimming. Then they move on to scanning. Predicting comes next, and finally people learn inferencing. A lot of efforts, a lot of deliberate cognitive processes go into inferencing because you have to be very much aware of what are the assumptions and what are the things that are left unsaid. So if you practice all these 4 sub-skills of the receptive skills, you would become a better listener or a better leader. Now, to give you an example, there is this sentence on the screen for you. England won the match by 10 wickets. India is out of the race. Now, when you read this, I'm giving you example of bottom up and everything, the skills that we have talked about. You look at each sound. England. The minute you say England, your top-down processing comes into being. England is a country. Won the match. Match? Which match? By 10 wickets. Where is wickets involved? What do you mean by wickets? Oh, I have not said anything about a particular game, but you would be able to understand by the context that I am talking about a particular game. That is your schema, knowledge of the world. I have not written anything, I have not spoken anything about the context, but by reading and using your knowledge of the world, you are able to understand that I am referring to a particular game. I am still not naming the game. You are looking at bottom up each sound, each word. There are specific words which tell you one, wickets, and that makes you understand the second sentence that is there, India is out of the race. Which race? Are 2 people running with each other, competing with each other, or are we talking about something else? I think you know we are talking about something else. The context, you are able to derive the context. The context is that game. Which match? I think all of you know we are talking about the World Cup, which has been recently played in one of the games. Am I talking about FIFA? Or am I talking about something else? I think I'm talking about something else. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. The overall tone and attitude. India is out of the race. It is not an athletic race, but it is the race to be the championship. So top-down processing and the bottom-up processing that we were looking at, they help us understand what is the entire context and what can be the implied meaning. I hope this example has given you an idea of what we mean by bottom-up and top-down processing, as well as giving you an idea about the basic skills, implication, how we look at skimming and scanning. So 10 wickets, match, England, India, race, certain words which help you understand what we are trying to talk about. Till now, we have looked at the cognitive processes which make the receiver a better receiver. If you understand the cognitive processes which make reception increased, enhanced, improved, are three kinds of processes: bottom-up processing and top-down processing, and how these two processes interact with each other to make you a better receiver. We also talked about the sub-skills of listening and speaking, the receptive skills. We talked about skimming, scanning, predicting and inferencing, and we also had a look at an example to make you understand what we mean by top-down and bottom-up processing, as well as inferencing and understanding, skimming and scanning. Okay, I think we are taking a short break here and we will come back to discuss listening and reading skills in greater details. स्वाध्यायः परमं तप